Miss Esther Rose Louis. Should I call you Esther Rose, by the way, or Esther? I forgot to ask you that.
Oh, I'm Esther. You can call me by my first
Esther.
name. Yes.
Okay. Well, thank you so much for being here with me today, Esther. Esther is the CEO of Metro Mommy Agency, and she's the founder and CEO also of the Momcha program. The Metro Mommy Agency, and you can correct me if I'm getting any of this wrong, but your desire and your goal is to give everybody access to doula care, to be their partner in birth, prenatal, newborn, postpartum care, nutrition, mentoring for new doulas, maternal health consulting, so that you can again increase access to doula care. You do a lot. You have such amazing energy, Esther. You show up on my IG feed all the time, and I just love the way that you engage so authentically with your followers. You are one of the honored recipients of the Saltwater Fellowship
Mhm.
from the Miami Foundation. I remember you telling me how much you appreciated my vulnerability during that workshop, and that it encouraged you to do so as well. You're doing a great job building your personal brand. I just want to congratulate you about with that, with the work that you're doing that I see. And just as we discussed in that workshop, it's important to do that because you're the face of your organization. And when the organization grows, your ability to support the community grows. So, anyway, I'm really happy that you're here today. Leaders Talk Communications is all about highlighting how leaders manage communications at their company or their nonprofit so that other leaders can learn from them. What are you doing well that people can learn from? What are some of the lessons you've learned that people can learn from? So, without further ado, I'm going to get started. Tell us about your work, Esther, and what inspires you the most about what you do?
Awesome. Thank you so much, Jennifer. So, what inspires me the most, and a little bit about my work. So, Metro Mommy Agency is a company I started back in 2015 after experiencing three pregnancies. I've had an awesome opportunity to work with midwives and saw the benefit of working with them and noticed that there were some bare minimum requirements to really have a healthy pregnancy and postpartum experience. And so when I traveled over to Alabama during my third pregnancy, unexpectedly, I had to
Mm,
figure out how to navigate the healthcare system in Alabama, which really focused on hospital based care only,
wow, yeah.
because midwifery care was actually illegal at the time. And so,
Mm,
in that search and finding a midwife in Chattanooga, Tennessee, I had a really wonderful water birth experience, 6 hour labor, and found myself in my postpartum visit realizing that I was a grad. I had plans to become a doctor, and all of a sudden, I'm here with three boys. And so it kind of hit me that, okay, am I really living to my life's fullest potential? And I had a
mm,
midwife who knew how to ask the best questions to me to help me understand where I was at in this current emotional state at 5 weeks postpartum, right? When I'm
yeah,
literally about to move back to Florida because there was so much inconsistency in work for my husband at the time. And so,
yeah.
what I realized in that moment, as she asked me, what are you passionate about? What do you really enjoy? I found myself
Mm.
answering her and telling her, I just like being at the park playground, talking to other moms, explaining to them about their pregnancies when I see their bumps and about breastfeeding. And she was the one who encouraged me to consider becoming a doula or a childbirth educator or a midwife. And so
Wow.
that's what I did. When I came back to Florida, I jumped right into the first doula training I could. And I've been doing this work ever since, adding more additional trainings to my repertoire, becoming a certified lactation counselor, realizing that
Ah,
breastfeeding is another core piece of the postpartum experience that I want to protect for women. And more
yeah, yeah.
importantly, just offer them that hope, that support, that me having been an anomaly of four
Mm.
wonderful birth experiences as a Black Haitian woman, letting them know that it was absolutely possible for them to have a great experience as well.
Oh, wow. And so is the inspirational part for you the fact that you get to do that for other women, and show them that there's a better way?
Absolutely, because every woman that I've served, I feel like the diversity in their backgrounds, in their upbringings, really helps me as a leader to figure
Yeah.
out that I can't give care in a one size fits all perspective.
Yeah.
And what happens is they teach me, right, ways about myself, you know. So if you ever talk to a birth worker, you know, we call doulas birth workers as well, midwives birth workers, they'll tell you that they tend to attract the clients that they need to be serving, that are
Mm.
actually kind of like mirrors for them, you know. So
Yeah.
I owe it to my clients, you know, the person that I've developed and become over the last 10 years has everything to do with how I've been able to serve such a diverse, unique set of moms. So I'm really grateful for that.
Wow. The comment you made about, people being attracted to midwives, like the people that they need to serve, it was definitely the case for me. I had
Mhm.
both of my children with a midwife here in Miami. Um, and the experience was just amazing. Water birth, same thing, and I just so honor what you do. It's so meaningful to me just because of my own personal experience, just knowing that our bodies were made to do this and that we get scared or confused into thinking that it's not. And so I just really admire what you do. Okay. So we're here to talk about communication, so I could talk about birth and breastfeeding all day, especially for working mothers. Okay, so tell me about the different stakeholders that you communicate with, Esther, and where you feel you thrive in connecting with them. What's the Esther secret sauce that allows you to be successful with the different stakeholders? And talk a bit about who those stakeholders are.
Absolutely. So stakeholders include the clients that I serve, of course, because
Yeah.
their voice, their lived experience really informs the work that I do and why I advocate the way that I advocate for them. I think about the other colleagues that I have, other organizations, community-based organizations. I think about also federally funded organizations, county-wide funded organizations, and pretty much those stakeholders are cross sector. So I'm talking to
Mm,
folks in legal, I'm talking to folks in healthcare, in administration at the healthcare level as well as, and also I tend to speak to a lot of folks who are on the ground providing direct services. And so, what
mhm.
I know they need to see when they interact with me up front in those first 5 minutes that maybe they're coming to my table at an outreach event, they need to know that I'm going to be comfortable enough for their clients to speak to me, right? To
Yeah.
interact with me as well. So I try to make sure that I'm showing up authentically as myself. I usually have a very bubbly personality. I try to match
Yeah.
my brand
Mhm.
in terms of color as it pertains to energy. And so um,
Yeah.
those interactions I find can happen a lot virtually, especially since COVID. And so, usually
Mhm.
online, I'm able to navigate facilitating community meetings. I love creating visuals to help people understand what we're trying to focus on in these meetings. For example, the Jasmine Project Community Action Network is something that I've worked on for some years now, as well as the Healthy Baby Task Force. And I think lastly, I
Mhm.
would say I love grant writing so much.
Whoa, that's a
Um,
switch. You love grant. I mean, that's a gift.
I do. I love being able to dream a bit and think about if there were no barriers here, if I
Mm.
could take this big vision that really takes millions of dollars, like I feel like I have a $5 million vision for my business, then I need to be able to articulate clearly to those judges, to those grantors, funders, et cetera, reviewers, the value of the service that I provide, right? And I
Yeah,
love being
yeah.
able to definitively describe to them what do doulas do in a way that's memorable, in a way where they walk away wanting to tell others about what we do as well.
Oh, I love that. Yeah, so your authenticity, the fact that I love that you thrive on painting a picture and making it clear the value of a doula and what you do. I think that's wonderful. Esther, we all have challenges that impact our ability to communicate well. Talk about a big challenge that you face from a communications perspective and how you handled it.
Yes. So again, I am a entrepreneur and I want to say it's in my blood. My dad was an entrepreneur. My mom worked steadily as a CNA and I saw the
Mm,
differences in terms of freedom for each of them over the years. And what I noticed is I
mm,
tend to be someone who's very instinctive when I'm dealing with my business or someone who goes organically with the flow. And when I came to a point in my business, I would say about 5 years ago, I needed an assistant because I was doing
yeah,
so much.
yeah,
And I had contracted some really incredible contracted assistants who were really good at other things. So for a while in my business, I would hire these folks part time and then they would find a really great salaried position and be able to just leave, right? And so
yeah,
I got frustrated with this idea of, oh my gosh, I have to now train someone new. And what I
yeah,
realized was these discussions, these directions that never existed, they were always floating in my head, needed to exist in a format that I could replicate it over and over and over again if I so needed to hire another assistant. And so
yeah,
what ended up happening was, unfortunately, because I didn't have that in place, there were a lot of confusion, a lot of missed opportunities. I lost the opportunity to take on certain prospects, so it cost me money. Um,
wow,
and I
yeah,
just realized I didn't have the managerial skills to know how to balance supervising as well as avoiding to micromanage, right? And I didn't
mm,
understand the benefit of documenting those processes. And so, systematically now, where I'm at in my business, I call it the blooming phase of my business.
the blooming, I love that.
Yeah. So I'm part of a Bloom Pod for Flourish Media, and I'm one of their members and board members for their nonprofit. And we talk about the blooming phase being that part or that time in your business where you need to get those SOPs in place, where you need to
Yeah,
make sure you've hired the right people and you're explaining to them what you want them to do in their roles. So clarifying that has helped me to gain more freedom in my business as well as
yeah,
be able to take time
mm.
off when I needed to. Like I took some time off in July this past July because I laid that foundation ahead of time. So my assistant was just holding it down all of
Oh,
July.
I love that. Oh my gosh, it's so important. So is the assistant the only staff you have, and then you contract out with other doulas to support your clients?
Exactly, correct. She's
Yeah,
someone who's like pretty much almost full time at this point. And then the doulas in my agency and the doulas that I mentor get work opportunities. I created a pipeline for them through the MAMCHA program. And that's one of the ways that I'm able to, do more.
yeah. Wow. And so you develop standard operating procedures, SOPs for your business that helps you do what you need to be doing most, which is raising money, being the face of the organization, supporting mothers, supporting families. I love that. That's really, really smart.
Thank you.
What has been the most successful vehicle you've used that has helped you communicate more effectively with your various stakeholders? You talked about, painting a picture and using visuals. When is it, well, I'm not going to put words in your mouth. You tell me, what's been the most successful vehicle you've used when you need to to persuade, to communicate well with your different stakeholders? What is it that works well for you?
So for me, it's that in-person interaction. I'll never forget. I
Mm,
had a wonderful business coach, Daphne Valsen, who trained me to think about stakeholders and prospects in a different way. And she shared with me it's really important to get on the phone with them right away, right? Because
mhm.
if they're hearing your voice, they're hearing the passion, the intonation, all of those things, that stuff is easily conveyed. I grew up doing oratorical contests, and so I'm very animated when
Ah,
I speak. That's why I'm using my hands.
yeah,
And so I think that has been really effective for me. But
yeah.
of course, again, with COVID, with different things like that, I've had to shift some things. So leveraging social media has been a huge
Mhm.
part of it. And I'll mention them again because I couldn't do it without them. But Flourish Media taught me a lot about visibility and how important it is for me to be willing to post that post about me, exercising or preparing breakfast for my kids or answering emails. And, while I haven't been able to successfully do a day in the life of a CEO just yet because there's so
Oh,
much
you're
that I do every
close.
day.
You're close. We can piece the puzzle together with your various posts.
Yeah,
But
I mean,
yeah.
and so while I haven't been able to always successfully do that consistently, I have found that people understand my brand, right? They understand I'm a
Yeah.
mom first, right? They understand that I'm also a woman who cares about her well-being, right? And really passionate about other moms, other women taking their well-being more seriously and not negotiating it, right? And
Yeah.
making sure that we're creating boundaries for ourselves to stay balanced, right? And that's my thing,
Yeah.
balancing boundaries always, you know? And
Yeah.
so I think that has been effective because unfortunately, even though I haven't had the systems all set up where Instagram is my main source of getting prospects, it has been the main way that people get to my website. And it's
Ah,
usually they had a friend who saw the post or a friend shared the post with them, and they or they're just following me, right?
yeah.
And I
Yeah.
don't know if you've seen that too, where you've had someone follow you for, however many years, and then years
Yes.
later is when they finally are ready to move forward. So that's happened to me quite a
Yeah.
bit too.
Yeah. What I really appreciate, Esther, is that you know where you're getting your clients from. Like from a business perspective, you know they're coming to you from social to your website. If you're doing speaking engagements, if you're doing like you know where your clients are coming from. That's really important. So in person, people get to experience you. Yeah, we want to do business with people we know, like, and trust, right? And so when we have an experience with someone, it makes it so much easier to say yes to them because we get to see their enthusiasm, we get to hear the intonation in their voice. Okay, my last question is the one I love so much. If you could wave a magic wand, Esther, what would you want the world to understand most deeply about you or about the work that you're doing at Metro Mommy Agency or with the Momcha program?
Awesome. Yes. So if I could wave a magic wand, and I literally do this visually every day, I would want the world to know that I am, not, Metro Mommy Agency is not just a business, right? It is
Mhm.
a movement that is focused on improving clarity as well as connection for childbirth experiences for all moms and birthing people everywhere, right? And so
Yeah.
when I see an experience, for example, I live in Miami-Dade County and I see, the sunrise, I see the waves. There's a connection that I have here, a richness from the culture that reminds me of that calm and that peace that I'm looking for in the work that I'm providing for these families, right? And it gives
Wow.
me this sense of understanding rhythms, right? Miami's a very fast
Mm.
paced kind of city. And labor isn't always fast, right? And
No, it
so
is not.
so my connection to my community in this location really reminds me that even when I have the hardest of times, um, I can still be someone who can be a caregiver for parents, before they passed, face financial uncertainty, be separated from my son's father, and still be able to show up, compartmentalize,
Mm.
do what I need to do to show up for families in a way that
Yeah.
is very anchored for them. And so I want to just share that when I was able to, again, visualize, use that magic wand, write that grant in 2022, and get the grant to create the Momcha program, I was dedicated to what that meant. Momcha means making optimal maternal child health accessible, right? And so
Mm.
those are seeds
Mm.
that I've sown several years ago that have started to blossom. So I'm seeing healthy babies that are born. I'm seeing moms become entrepreneurs, continue to go back to
Oh,
work, support their families, becoming doulas themselves, leaders themselves. And so
yeah.
our impact right now is something that I want to measure. I want to continue to make sure that beyond those numbers, that if they invest in us, if they invest in Metro Mommy Agency, they're not just investing in the futures of families here in Miami-Dade County, but we're investing in all of the spaces that I impact right now, even at the national level and hopefully global level, right?
Yeah,
Um,
yeah.
I just
You know,
believe, yeah, go ahead.
No, I was just going to say you answered a question that I was going to ask you. I know I said that was the last one, but when you talk about, I was going to ask you, why is it important for women to have a good birth experience? And you just answered it, so they can do the things that they want to do, so they can, become leaders, become entrepreneurs, so their communities thrive, so their children thrive. We know that when women thrive, communities do better. So I really appreciate that you talked about that as well.
Absolutely. Yeah. And women need to stay alive. We need them alive. So the
Thank
maternal
you.
mortality rate, the infant mortality rate, all of those things are things that can be addressed when we close gaps, right? When we
Yeah,
make sure that
yeah,
we insert care that is supportive, holistic, comprehensive, and that we amplify the voices of those moms as well, because their
right.
experiences really inform how we sit at tables, what we talk about at these tables, and the types of policies and the ways that delivery rooms can look moving forward. So,
Yeah.
yeah.
I appreciate you so much. I appreciate the work that you do. Thank you for supporting women and families and community. I can't wait to see the global impact that you're going to make. I think it's there. So thank you so much, Esther, for your time. I appreciate you.
Thank you so much, Jennifer, for having me.